Born and raised in Acholi,
in Gulu specifically,
Betty Oyera Atuku Bigombe attended Gayaza High School before joining Makerere University, where she pursued a Bachelor of Social Sciences.
I've started writing a thesis which I've never finished to complete my PhD, but I get sidetracked from time to time. So I still tell people I'm still a student.
She was lucky to grow up from a family that valued girl-child education.
They looked at you as a potential teacher or as a nurse. That was the thinking back then. Of course, the option of going to university was there because I had my cousins who had gone, who were at university, and so that encouraged me to continue with education as far as possible.
In a generation where career guidance was minimal, she found herself becoming a leader at all levels of education. This could have shaped her career to become a prominent political leader in the future, which in this case is now.
I was pushed into contesting for guild something, but I was not really interested enough, and I believe I was not very political at that time. Even when I went to Harvard University for Students' Guild, I was elected without me asking, contesting like the other students campaigned to be elected to the students' body. So I suppose there is some kind of leadership quality that I probably exhibit without really coming out to talk about it.
In a society where women and children empowerment is the talk of the day, Bigombe wants people to balance between family and other assignments.
Parents are beginning to send their 5-year-olds to boarding schools. This is very irresponsible because at that tender age, every child needs their parents around. You cannot make it a responsibility of a teacher. But empowering a woman also helps her to look after her family better, to have a sense of responsibility. But if she has to struggle every day to make ends meet, then she's going to neglect the child and pay attention to get... so they feed into one another.
She decries the increase in the number of single mothers, something she blames on cultural erosion.
One of the problems is teenage pregnancy, which has become very, very rampant. Again, in here, you talked about balancing family life. If we do not pay attention to our young girls, they're likely to be tempted. If we simply dump them in boarding schools without giving that guidance, without watching how they're growing up, without mentoring them, then this is part of the problem.
Being a leader in northern Uganda at the time, to her was so challenging, but needed persistence to ensure effective service delivery. By the time she resigned as Member of Parliament, land disputes had overwhelmed Amuru district, something she says could have been handled amicably.
There is UWA, Uganda Wildlife Authority. Then you have Ajumani district, where the border was not very clear. But I also think the problem was being politically motivated by some politicians who were taking advantage of the fact that people were in camps for a very long time. The borders were blurred because even with OWA, I had my own personal conviction that that place does not look like it was a game park, honest to God. Besides rats and rabbits, and it was very, very difficult to convince me that it was a game park, but OWA insisted. But for the sake of environment and preservation of wildlife, that's okay. But people should not have been evicted the way they were evicted.
Citing the recent example of Atiak, where a sugar factory has been embraced, she urges residents to desist from conflict and embrace development.
If the approach had been proper, look at what is happening in Atiak with what this lady, the owner of this property, Amina, is doing. She's been well received. There's never been any violence. There's real partnership with the people because she used a different approach. The entry point was very different and through the people. So people just fell behind her. And that is what should have happened.
She is currently a peace activist who is remembered for initiating talks between Joseph Kony's Rhodes Resistance Army and the Ugandan government. But how did she go about this?
I was very consistent, talking to him on a very regular basis on radio communication.
In our next episode, she takes us through this milestone that has seen peace return to northern Uganda. Henry Okrut, UBC.